I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number 877-973-7425. I need to set the stage here for you guys. We so rarely have guests on this program. We've surveyed a lot of you, and y'all don't like it when I talk to other people, but occasionally it's worth it. My friend Amy Kramer reached out to me a couple weeks ago and asked if I wanted anyone on to talk about Iran who would be an expert on Iran. And it's one of those things I'm so bad about reading an email and then thinking I'll reply and forgetting to reply. And thank you to Amy for pestering me and to do this. And then I saw the name of the person I'm interviewing. It's like, it can't be him. And I am so excited to have Alireza Jafarzadeh on my program. You may not recognize the name, but when I saw his name, I really couldn't believe it was him. So let me just, before I click the button and bring him on, let me be effusive with his praise. My guest, Alireza Jafarzadeh, has saved a lot of lives and has raised awareness about the monsters of Iran for a very long time. And you may not know him, but you know his work. He exposed Iran's nuclear program. It was in, I want to say, 2002. It was during the Bush presidency that he sounded the alarm that Iran was building a secret nuclear facility and was doing enriched uranium. And, during the Obama administration, raised awareness about their centrifuge program, which the Obama administration largely dismissed his claims. And he has been stunningly accurate, raising awareness about what's happening inside of Iran and raising enough awareness about the details of its nuclear program that President Trump could bomb it. And it is just an absolute pleasure. Mr. Jafarzadeh, I'm just delighted that you would take some time to be on the program. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Eric. I'm really delighted to be on your show. I must say you have one of the best shows in the country. You do a great work in informing the American public and give them information that they may not otherwise be available to them.
It's just I saw your name as I was telling the audience, and I couldn't believe I get to talk to you. I just, thank you for everything you have done over the years to undermine these monsters in Iran, and I hate it for you and your fellow dissidents that you have to stand outside the country so much and watch what these awful people are doing to the citizens of Iran. I don't think that most people around the world in the West understand just how terrible the Ayatollah and the rulers of Iran really are.
Absolutely, Eric. I'm just a very small portion of what's really a generation, a nation has stood up against ruthless clerics who have not only deprived the people of Iran of their rights but are the head of the snake of war and terror in the region. They're the instigator of terrorism. They're developing nuclear weapons. They have advanced missile program, their drone program. They are the problem the whole world is facing today. But the good news is that a nation has stood up and has decided that they are going to end the rule of the clerics. A very high price has been paid, including many of my best friends I've known since I was in high school, that sacrificed their lives for this path. Over 120,000 have been executed by the Iran regime for political purposes. But I think we're very close to the stage that the people of Iran can embrace freedom. The people in the region can see a region without the threat of the terrorism and weapons of mass destruction of the Iranian regime.
Now, I don't know that a lot of people are necessarily aware that it's actually a minority of the population supports the clerics. It's not the majority of the population, is my understanding, but it's a minority that's well protected, well funded, and deeply invested in the government to prop it up.
Absolutely, Eric. The regime is a theocracy. It's built on the authority of one top supreme leader, Khamenei, who is now the supreme leader. It has a military structure that is protecting it, known as the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, or the IRGC. And then the rest are the population who are opposed to it. One of the regime's officials conceded that only 4% of the population support the regime. And that official is actually the speaker of the regime's parliament. It's not just some ragtag person. So that's the kind of, divide you see between the people and the regime. When the most recent wave of uprising started in December and lasted into January, it engulfed over 400 cities in all 31 provinces of Iran. People were chanting, "Death to the dictator," death to Khamenei, who is the supreme leader of the regime, death to the oppressor, be it the Shah or the supreme leader, making it very clear, just the same way that the people stood up and overthrew the despotic rule of monarch, the Shah, before, because he had the secret police savak and he had a single-party rule. He was putting people in jail. The same way people are rising up against the theocracy. And the only thing that they settle for is democracy, especially in this day and age, especially with the young generation of Iran that are very vibrant, very educated. They're not tolerating this kind of repression under the name of religion.
When you talk to Western leaders, one of the excuses they make for not trying to topple the regime is the issue of what comes next. And would there be a civil war? Would there be mass upheaval? The Saudis, the Emiratis, and others worry about destabilization of what could come next. And it seems now that those who either support the return of the Shah or those who support an alternative path have kind of decided that, we'll figure it out, but they need to go, and that there's more unanimity among the dissidents now than there ever has been.
Exactly. There is no worry about the future, because Iran is a nation state. We have a lot of minorities. We have the Kurds, the Azeris, the Arabs, the Turkmens, the Baluchis, which is about 40% of the whole population. But all of those minorities are very determined on one thing. They don't want the current theocracy, and they experience the dictatorship of the Shah. They don't want that. What they want is a political pluralism and Iran that is united and can live in coexistence with the outside world. Interestingly, the leader of the opposition is a woman, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi. She's headquartered in Paris, but has a very extensive network inside Iran that has provided a lot of the details about the regime's rogue behavior, including their nuclear weapons program, missile program, their terrorism. But also this is the network that is engaged in organizing protests and demonstrations in Iran. And she has introduced a 10-point platform for the future of Iran that says the ballot box is the sole criteria for legitimacy, and that there has to be separation of religion and state. There has to be equality between men and women, unlike the misogynist regime ruling now. And she calls for freedom of religion, freedom for all political parties, free market economy, peace in the Middle East, and a non-nuclear republic Iran. She also respects the rights of minorities in Iran. So that's why I feel like, you're not worried about the day after. The focus has to be how to bring down the regime ruling Iran by relying on the population in Iran, the organized force, those who have been paying the price and confronting the Revolution Guards.
One of the criticisms among a lot of Western leaders of trying to destabilize the regime is that it's not just the Ayatollah, that there are so many people within the state who are invested in propping it up, plus the Russians and Chinese have a vested interest in it, that it's much harder to topple Iran than some other countries because of the embedded nature of the regime beyond the Ayatollah. How would you want the West to think about destabilizing and toppling the regime?
Well, that was exactly how the regime survived so far. But we must understand this is not the same regime 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The regime relied heavily on their proxies in the region, the proxies that they had, for instance, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Shia militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, and they even had some big allies like Assad in Syria. That gave what they called strategic depth to the regime and allowed them to operate and stay in power. But what happened is that much of that is gone already. The proxies have been badly shattered, weakened, and they also relied on their nuclear weapons program as a guarantee for their survival. That has been shattered. And they spent a huge amount of money. The nuclear weapons program of the regime has cost Iran $2 trillion. Wow. That's a lot of money. I mean, $2 trillion. Iran is a very rich country, is heavily relying on oil. All of the oil revenue that the mullahs have generated since they came to power in 1979, all of that combined is less than $2 trillion. So that's how they're really spend all the resources of the country to build a bomb to survive, and all of that has gone in smoke. And then you have the population who are risking their lives. The regime killed thousands of people in January to slaughter them, arrested over 50,000 people, hoping that this is going to put an end and everyone is going to be scared and realize that, this regime is not easily toppled. Not realizing that just since this past Saturday, when the universities in Iran, the new semester opened, you have seen the top universities of Iran being the scene of major protests against the regime, chanting death to Khamenei, death to dictator, death to the oppressor, be the Shah or the supreme leader. Neither monarchy nor theocracy. We want democracy and equality. These are the slogans of the students. And these are major universities. Sharif University of Technology in Tehran is equivalent of MIT, very top brass, technical university of Iran. That's the university that our leader, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, went to. That's also my school. And yet people, students came out and confronted the Revolutionary Guards and repressive forces, showing the people that no matter how many people you kill, you cannot kill the hope of a nation who are determined, who are increasingly organized. People learn how to confront the Revolutionary Guards. And that's why no matter what they do, this regime is doomed to fall.
I hope it is, and I can't thank you enough. Again, I'm familiar with your work, with what you did to expose the nuclear program, and just delighted you would take a few minutes with me on radio to talk about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate the work you're doing. Your work is nationwide, informing the American public. I'm always available for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Alireza Jafarzadeh is an Iranian dissident, and he is the man, the singular personality who exposed the Iranian nuclear weapons program and the extent of it in 2002, causing the United Nations Security Council to take action. Just absolutely, just a delight to be able to talk to. I've never met the man before, but knew quite well who he was. And it just, we got to be with the people of Iran right now. The Gerald R. Ford continues to approach Iran, and the word from people in the White House is they're convinced the president is ready to do what he can, and that the Saudis have now come on board a plan to destabilize the regime. If that's true, the days of the Mullahs are numbered. Let me tell you about one of the pains of home ownership. We had a dishwasher installed 2 years ago. Turns out it's been leaking behind the wall for 2 years. We did not know. Only when the dishwasher finally malfunctioned the other day did we know. Well, you know, if you have HomeServe, it's like a subscription for your home for as little as $4.99 a month. They have your back. Repairs hit fast and hard. You could be searching for a contractor in a panic, or you could be on the phone with HomeServe's 24/7 hotline scheduling a repair with 4.5 million customers, a 4.8 out of 5 post-repair rating, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. They're the real deal. You want to deal with HomeServe if you want to protect your home and your wallet. Plans start as little as $4.99 a month. Go to homeserve.com to find the plan that's right for you. Homeserve.com. Not available anywhere else. Most plans range from $4.99 to $11.99 a month. Your first year terms apply on covered repairs. Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Last week I mentioned the growing parental backlash on tablets in schools. Last week, NBC News did a big story about the growing number of parents around the country saying they want their kids' schools to take tablets out and go back to books and handwriting. Well, now there is new data out. Sasha Rogelberg at Fortune has the data that, interestingly enough, as we have embraced technology in schools, the cognitive capability of kids has declined. Jared Cooney Horvath, a neuroscientist, testified in the U.S. Senate. Gen Z is less cognitively capable than previous generations despite unprecedented access to technology. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to score lower on standardized tests than the previous one, with skills measured by these tests like literacy and numeracy aren't always indicative of intelligence. They're a reflection of cognitive capability. And as we have embraced screens, and it, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with COVID lockdowns and shutdowns of schools, that it began to show up before that time. Fortune reported in 2017 Maine's public school test scores had not improved in 15 years. The state implemented its technology initiative in that time, and Governor Paul LePage at the time said it was a massive failure. It's true. It turns out that the more kids learn on screens, the less cognitively capable they are. There are lots of reasons for that, but the general reason most scientists are determining is the cognitive feel of paper, that you can connect things to placement on a page. It helps you memorize it. When you're scrolling, you can't do that, and it impairs a child's ability to learn and develop mentally. So there you have it, more and more data coming out that technology programs in schools are actually hurting the kids by taking them out of books and off paper and putting them into tablets. Now, let me tell you about Swiss America, because it wants to get you up to date on everything monetary in the country and around the world, tell you what the BRIC nations are doing, how the reserve currency is functioning in a world with China trying to get people out of us as a reserve currency, and what's happening with gold and silver. They're one of the trusted leaders in precious metals, and they will send you a copy of their Secret War on Cash report completely free. All you have to do is call or text them at 800-289-2646. Just mention Eric. You can even just text my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. 2646. That's 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash includes digital forms of currency. You're not safe there either. This report can help you with your retirement and finances, so get a copy of it at 800-289-2646. Also, check them out on YouTube at Swiss America Trading. They got a really good podcast on money and currency and the global markets. Swiss America Trading on YouTube or SwissAmerica.com/Eric. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. But the easiest way to get the report is just to call them, tell them Eric sent you, or text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Swiss America can get you that report completely for free. Remember, message and data rates may apply. Let Swiss America help you. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Gavin Newsom has caused quite a stir. I want to have a conversation with you, but I got to say something to you first because I know what's going to happen here. I have been down this road so many times, and I'm every once in a while I get to the point where I'm like, is it even worth me doing this? Because prevailing orthodoxies start where we believe things because we're told they're true, and everybody echoes that they're true, and it turns out they're not really true. And so I'm going to need to tell you something, and you're just going to have to listen to me. I'm making sure I push this out on social media that everybody needs to tune in now because, well, this morning I woke up to tweets from several prominent accounts on social media. Those accounts on social media went viral, and they highlighted a clip of Gavin Newsom talking about his SAT score with the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens, who, by the way, is a great mayor for the city of Atlanta. He is a very good mayor of Atlanta. And he was with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom has a book, I guess, doing what politicians who want to run for president do. And I want to play you the clip. And there's a reason I'm playing this to you first. This is Gavin Newsom in Atlanta, Georgia, on stage talking with the mayor of Atlanta.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. This may be the wrong business to be in.
Gavin Newsom, who, by the way, during the book banning allegations against Republicans, had a picture of him reading a book, now says he doesn't read speeches and books and stuff because he's dyslexic. And anytime you criticize him, he says, you hate me because I'm dyslexic. Ted Cruz called him historically illiterate, and Gavin Newsom replied, he's calling me illiterate when I'm just dyslexic. No, he was calling you historically illiterate, you idiot. That was what Gavin Newsom said. And the Twitter account In Wokeness and others said Gavin Newsom said this to a black audience in Atlanta. Essentially, I'm dumb like you. I believe that our side has to be truthful so people take us seriously. And it has gone viral that Gavin Newsom made those remarks to a black crowd in Atlanta. And that is a lie. Gavin Newsom's crowd was overwhelmingly white that he said that to. I know it was overwhelmingly white because I went to find the video. and then recognized a person in the crowd and texted that person, and that person confirmed to me that it was an overwhelmingly white crowd. In the words of my friend who was at the event, I saw a couple of black people. It was an overwhelmingly white crowd that Gavin Newsom was talking about. The spin from the right is Gavin Newsom was insulting black people by suggesting that, like them, he didn't have very good SAT scores. And if we can't be honest and truthful and accurate with what's going on, why should people who are on the outside trying to find out what's going on listen to us? Well, they're just a bunch of liars. How can I believe them? Now, if Gavin Newsom was sitting on stage with the mayor of Atlanta, who is black, one of the very few black people who is in the crowd, by the way, and Gavin Newsom was saying to black people, well, hey, I'm just like you. I did bad on the SAT. Yep, kind of racist. But no. What you need to understand is that Gavin Newsom's from a very wealthy family, married into wealth, is a very privileged person who was voted most stylish in his school. He is not a poor person. And what Gavin Newsom was attempting to do was not tell, hey, black people, I'm bad on the SATs just like you. It is looking to, oh, you poor and middle class people, I'm just like you. I got a 980 on the SAT. This wasn't a matter of Gavin Newsom's inability to relate to black people as alleged. It was Gavin Newsom's inability to relate based on class. It's like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the progressive white elite's version of a blue-collar worker because she was a bartender while she went to Boston University or whatever and was not from a poor family at all. Contrary to the mythology, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not some blue-collar bartender. She's actually from a privileged family and grew up pretty privileged, to use the language of the progressives, and she talks like she's the progressive ideal of a blue-collar worker, sophisticated communist. Gavin Newsom hangs out with a bunch of white people in Atlanta with the black mayor of Atlanta interviewing him about his book. And he says, I'm just like you, fellow poors. I got a 980 on the SAT. And it's the social media buffoonery of the right that tried to make it a racial insult. It wasn't. It was a class warfare insult to non-wealthy, progressive, sophisticated people. And now Gavin Newsom's like, oh my God, I've got dyslexia. You can't attack me for saying this. Yes, I can, Gavin. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and your way to try to relate to people who you don't think are wealthy white people is to say, I did bad on the SAT just like you. And the hyperbolic right-wing nonsense turned it into a racial argument, and they totally botched the point. Gavin Newsom was not trying to relate to black people. He was trying to relate to middle-class people by talking about his SAT score and his inability to read speeches. And, you know, the problem here is now you got a bunch of people who they've seen the whole clip and they've seen the others are like, oh, you people on the right can't be trusted. You said this was about him relating to black people. No, it wasn't. You know, the other angle, however, is that why was Gavin Newsom in Atlanta? It wasn't really for a book tour. Gavin Newsom was in Atlanta to campaign for a Democratic candidate for governor, Keisha Crimeway Bottoms. Keisha Crimeway was the mayor of Atlanta during the George Floyd rioting. And Keisha Crimeway, when she saw the trend of Democrats around the country siding with the Black Lives Matters and Antifa protesters, She had come in to be mayor of Atlanta by challenging the outside establishment. And oddly enough, the business community in the metro Atlanta area had high hopes for Keisha Lance Bottoms because she challenged the existing orthodoxies of a city hall that had grown corrupt and had been invaded by the FBI, doing undercover stings of corruption within City Hall. They thought, we need an outsider. Here comes this woman from the outside. Everyone was backing everyone else. Nobody was backing her. And she won. And then she got a little too ambitious for herself and realized that Democrats nationally were backing the Black Lives Matters and Antifa crowds. And so what did she do? During the George Floyd riots, she first tried to act like mom and showed up to talk to the rioters and got a lot of applause from people, and then stabbed the police in the back and sided with the rioters. And we had these random shootings all over the city of Atlanta because the police decided not to show up for works. There was this guy named Rashard Brooks who he fell asleep at a Wendy's parking lot, as I recall, in a drive-through, and the police showed up. He had a criminal record. They tried to detain him. He grabbed an officer's gun and took off running, or taser rather, and an officer shot and killed him. The officer, as I recall, thought that the man was running away with the gun. The man turned around to try to point it at the officer. The officer opened fire and killed him. The officer turned out to be a gay officer. He was vilified as just a white guy and put in jail, and police around Atlanta just stopped going to work, and crime skyrocketed. And it was all because of the mismanagement of Keisha Crime Wave Bottoms, who decided to side with the rioters and the lawbreakers. She even allowed the rioters, after Rashard Brooks was killed, to have a no-go zone at this Wendy's. And a woman and her daughter were turning around in the parking lot, and the kid got shot and killed by the rioters that Keisha Crime Wave Bottoms decided to turn a blind eye to. She was super soft on crime, and the crime rate in Atlanta escalated so much so that the business community decided they wanted the north end of the city to secede from the city so they could be safe again. Literally, a man got shot and killed jogging down a super wealthy neighborhood. He was jogging down the side of the road, and someone just drove past randomly, shot and killed the guy. That was what Atlanta was dealing with. And the people of that part of the city are like, you know what? We need to get out of here and get our own police force because Keisha Crime Wave Bottoms has bungled the mess so much. None of us are safe. That's who Gavin Newsom is campaigning for. The woman who sided with the drive-by gangbangers, rioters, and the Black Lives Matter crowd. That's who Gavin Newsom wants to be governor of Georgia. The woman who implemented Gavin Newsom's soft-on-crime policies and saw a city go to hell as a result. That's who Gavin Newsom wants. But Gavin Newsom was not talking to black people in this audience. He was talking to white progressives and decided the way to connect to white progressives in Atlanta was to tell him he wasn't very smart, just like them. Completely puts a different spin on it when you hear it wasn't a black crowd he was talking to. It was white people, lots of white people that Gavin Newsom, his crowd was as white as a Pete Buttigieg rally. In fact, what's his name? Bill Maher can't understand why people don't like Pete Buttigieg in the black community. It's going to be the same problem with Gavin Newsom, although not as bad as Buttigieg because, well, Gavin Newsom's married to a woman. This is Bill Maher from his show on Friday night.
Democratic primary voters, 16% would support Buttigieg. That's the highest of any candidate. Pete Buttigieg.
I don't believe it.
Wait.
I think that's just a poll number. I can't see that happening.
Well, okay, but wait. 16%. Black voters, zero. You don't usually see zero anywhere. Zero's low.
For who?
For Buttigieg. Yeah. Explain that. I mean, why do black voters have this? I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's under-indexing a little bit with the black voters, yeah.
A little. What is that all about?
He doesn't move us. I respect the man. I've interviewed him before. Very nice man, highly intelligent. But you got to be able to move us, bro. He doesn't move us. You can speculate as to why that is. I'm not going there. He doesn't Move us.
What Stephen A. Smith doesn't want to say is this because Pete Buttigieg is a white gay man from South Bend, Indiana, who is married with kids, and that doesn't play well in the black community. And black voters want nothing to do with Pete Buttigieg, who also, when he's around black people, says some of the most inadvertent, accidentally offensive things. Like Pete Buttigieg was in a black community crowd, and he did what I just did. Pete Buttigieg was in a crowd of black voters in South Carolina talking about dark money and referred to it as black money. Yes, that's what Pete Buttigieg does around black people. Instead of talking about dark money, he talks about black money. And then they don't particularly like when he talks about family values, and black voters of America, who are pretty socially conservative, realize this is a gay man who has a gay husband with children, and that doesn't go well in the black community, which is why he gets zero support in the black community for a host of reasons. But you can't dance around the fact part of it is because he's a gay married man with kids, and that doesn't play well in the black community. That's why he polls at 0%. Gavin Newsom is heterosexual and married with kids, so he will get higher than that. But I don't know that Gavin Newsom is going to play as well with the black community either, when his approach to the poor and middle class whites of America is to tell them about his 980 SAT score. If he's that bad at making class arguments, he's not going to be great at making arguments to the black community. And then Gavin Newsom has the whole problem of, crime. Like Keisha Lance Bottoms, the former mayor of Atlanta who Gavin Newsom is campaigning for, lost the support of the black community in Atlanta after the crime wave. The people forget that it wasn't just the white folks of North Atlanta, the Buckhead community, that she lost. It was black voters in Atlanta lost Keisha Lance Bottoms. They would not vote for her. She could not run for mayor a second term, and now she thinks that she can run for governor of the state of Georgia. She would be the best thing to happen to the Republicans in Georgia. The fact that Gavin Newsom is campaigning for her shows again just how tone deaf he is to the politics of anywhere else, that he thinks he can relate to white people by telling him he got a 980 on the SAT and could come to Georgia to vote to support a woman who couldn't run for re-election in Atlanta, that she, because of her crime rating, should be the governor of Georgia. How tone deaf is this guy? Y'all, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Did you know that if you want to be a quote-unquote paid volunteer, and I hate the term paid volunteer. It's like my kid is applying for internships, and back in my day, if you want to be an intern, you interned and you didn't get paid, but you'd get a great job reference. Now, ever since the Obama administration, they make you pay for your interns. I want an intern, but I don't want to have to pay an intern. I don't have the budget for it. But nonetheless, my daughter is applying for an internship, and she is it'd be a paid internship. Well, if you want to be a paid volunteer in New York City to shovel snow with this blizzard, you have to have multiple forms of ID. Have you heard about this? You got to have at least 2 forms of identification. It's like Jim Snow 2.0 in New York City. You got to show up with your driver's license and another form of identification to prove who you are. Why? Because they want to pay you, but they have to honor labor laws. So it's harder to shovel snow in New York City than it is to vote. Think about that. And the Democrats see no irony in the fact that they're making you show multiple forms of ID for the privilege of shoveling snow in New York City for minimum wage to help the city dig out from under a blizzard. But God forbid you have to show your driver's license to vote. It's the stupidest thing. Good gracious, these people. Now, you know what's not stupid? Getting a tankless water heater from Renai where you will not run out of hot water. It is glorious. I got home last night and took a very long shower, and it was fantastic. And Didn't have to worry about my kid having just been in the shower with her long hair, where she takes hours-long showers, it seems like, and we don't run out of hot water. If you go to TalkingTankless.com, you can get a tankless water heater right now for your existing home and get rid of your tank of a water heater. Our power bill went down when we got our tankless water heater, and we don't run out of hot water. Like when we had the tanks that you got to refill, and God forbid the power goes out of the house, we had electric water heaters. Now, even the power goes out of our house, our tankless water heater still works. We have a little UPS system that it plugs into, and it just sips power. We can get unlimited hot water at our house. You can too. TalkingTankless.com is the website you want. TalkingTankless.com. It's by Renai. They are made just up the road from me in Griffin, Georgia. I've still got to go tour the facility. They're about the size of a small carry-on bag. TalkingTankless.com. Go get forever hot water. TalkingTankless.com.